All right, everything's fine. All right, so where were we?
Let me just think of,
You'd gone to. Well, I guess we were talking about when your father moved to when you guys
Boston
moved
Spa.
to, and everybody moved, the whole family, right?
oh, yeah, yeah. yeah.
And how long did you live there?
Boston Spa?
Yeah,
Till
until you got married, I guess. Right?
No, till I went to work in GE. I moved to Schenectady when I got a job in the GE because it was only a trolley or bus and it would take, I'd have to be up. I worked third shift and there was no bus that late to take you, so I moved to Schenectady. And
Were you about 18 or?
no, I was older than that, maybe
What year was it? Was it
20?
before the end of the war, right?
yeah. Yeah, because I was 22. Let me see, was I 22 when I got married? 1944, and I was born in 22, so I was 22 when I got married.
And so when the war started, what do you do? You remember
Yeah,
Pearl Harbor and
yeah, I remember all that. I remember, so I was working on the glove mill, and we used to have this one girl had a car. She'd take us all for a ride at lunchtime. We'd give her 10 cents for gas. And she'd roll up all the windows. She had bricks in the car in case we got attacked. I said, violence. Who's going to attack us? And she goes, it's not funny, I'm afraid. She'd go, and she'd have me and my friends, we'd all be sitting in her car with her dimes worth of gas, riding up the front street. Sometimes we'd get a candy bar or half a sandwich or something. Then on the lunch hour, then we'd go back and pound gloves the rest of the day.
Do you remember what your father said, or just how the family reacted, or how people reacted when? And the start of the. Was there any mention of the war before Pearl Harbor?
I didn't know anything, didn't have a clue. Probably, I don't even know. Yeah, no, there was nothing. It was a shock. It was kind of like, I guess we were just, maybe more educated people, college people, or somebody that was into government or
Right.
that kind of stuff might have. I never paid attention. I don't think I did. I can remember, when did Lindbergh get kidnapped? Charles Lindbergh.
30s, right, wasn't it?
Was that the 30s?
Or was it? I don't know.
Yeah, see, I didn't seem like the 30s. Well, it could have been the 30s.
I don't know,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember, but I'm trying to think. That's way before the war then. Yeah, because I was living in Boston Spa when that happened.
Were those sort of the big news events? Was the Lindbergh baby just about the only big news event that everybody talked about back then? Or were there other things that everybody would hear about on the radio? And was it the radio only that you would hear stuff?
Yeah.
Right. And your family had a radio?
Yes.
And what do you remember?
Listen to Ma Perkins every day at 3 o'clock.
Ma Perkins, and what was she?
She was a soap opera in the afternoon. The minute we got out of school, we'd listen to Ma Perkins.
And what was
And
that
the
about?
shadow nose, there was a shadow nose or something like that. A scary program at night we used to listen to.
And would the whole family get together, or just?
I
Did your
don't know
father-
about my father. I don't know so much about my father doing it. I know I did, and my sister Helen, but I don't know. I really don't remember, to tell you the truth. But I can remember doing it.
And so, what was it like when Pearl Harbor happened? What changes do you remember happening?
Well, I remember a lot of work, a lot of business. Everything went booming then. That's when everything went. People, you
Really?
know. Oh yeah, sure.
So that was the end, as far as the town, what's
Boston
the town?
Spa?
Boston Spa was concerned. The Depression ended
Right.
then.
Right. And yeah, because I mean, we were lucky to have a job. I mean, even then, you made $14. Like I said, $14 a week was your pay.
And so almost immediate. But were people afraid? Do you remember them being angry at the Japanese? Did they care at all? Did they worry that their kids were joining the military?
I think people, I don't know, because there was nobody in our house to join, nobody, no relatives or anybody, they were all,
Now you had William, right?
but he was younger than me, he was little.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't during the war, he went to work in the sock mill. They all quit school at 16 and went to work in the sock mill,
Right.
or glove mill, one or the other, whichever. I never talked, I don't think my father ever talked about the war around in the house. We never talked about it. We didn't talk about much in the house, I don't think.
Mm.
We really didn't.
And everybody ate dinner together, right?
Oh, yeah, always, yeah. You eat everything on your plate, too.
Mm-hmm. And
Like
what-
it on.
Do you remember what a average family meal, what would be on the plate?
Yeah, some kind of stewed meat
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of carrots and potatoes and onions, and you better eat it because it'll make you grow.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was anything, and a lot of times I wouldn't eat some stuff. Like, they used to have that butter you used to churn and make it colored, put the powdered in it,
No, I
make it
don't.
red.
Really? Red butter?
Well, pink or no, blue, yellow, but you had to put an envelope of red stuff in it, and then you swish it all up.
Why?
Now you buy it like that. Well, because it didn't come. It looked like lard, but it was really margarine, but it wasn't colored.
Oh,
So
okay.
now you color it. It's already comes colored now.
Yeah, okay.
And people today eat lard, and they think they're eating something great, and I don't. I hate the stuff.
Margarine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I went to work, I bought a quarter of a pound of butter for the week, and I don't want anybody to touch it. And for my mother to say, "Don't touch that butter! Don't touch that butter! That don't belong to you."
So a lot of no salads.
No mayonnaise, nothing with mayonnaise.
Okay.
No.
But there was no lettuce or any fresh.
Oh, we never had salads.
Everything
no.
was overcooked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always. Yeah. Because you got to cook for 6 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 6, 7 people. It was 5 kids and 5 kids, 6 kids, and 2 adults.
So meals were generally a pile of.
Always,
Slop,
yeah, most
kind of,
always,
you know,
yeah,
or something overcooked.
Stewed stuff,
Yeah.
chicken or beef or whatever. And my father made it. He said, "It's good. You better eat it."
And if there was a special occasion, what would you eat? Anything different?
I don't think we ever. I don't know if we ever had special occasions. I really don't remember it. I don't.
Nothing special that you'd ask your mom to make. And
No,
your mom was
we
your
never-
mom the cook?
Oh yeah, most times, yeah.
None of the girls.
She wouldn't let anybody touch the stove. We used to have the iron they put on the back of the stove to get hot to
Right,
iron. So when I got a job, I bought my mother electric iron. And she wouldn't let me use it. She was afraid I'd break it. Well, okay.
So only mom.
And the
cooked.
bath, we didn't have a bathtub in the house, had a toilet. And then we used to have, they had a stove with, you had the water thing on the side. You get the water on the weekend, and I'd take a shower, then the next one, not a shower, I'd take a bath, the next one take a bath, the next one take a
So
bath.
wait, what do you mean you didn't have a tub in the house? So it was what?
That-
What held the water?
And on the end of the stove used to be a reservoir
Uh-huh.
that held water, kept it hot because the stove was hot.
Right.
hot. In the summer, you'd have to heat the stove, water on the stove
And then you'd pour that into
to a
a.
bucket and take
So
a bath.
one of these
Tubs.
about this size
Yeah,
tub.
yeah. Well, yeah.
And so you'd get in there.
You wouldn't get in, you stand up and
Oh, you
wash.
just stood and sponge bath
Yeah,
yourself.
right.
And
That's-
that's how you cleaned up
Yeah.
until what age?
Um,
When did you get your first shower?
oh God, I'm trying to think. I think probably, let me see. I think around the time my brother Billy was born. Yeah, I think around that time we had a nice house in Boston Spa because we moved a couple houses away from the other one. And that had a big bathroom and it had a nice tub in it.
So that was running water.
Yeah, it
that was the
running,
first
yeah,
running water.
Yeah. Well, we had running water in the other house, but no shower, no tub, no bathtub. I don't know what the hell they thought you were supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody was like that, I guess, where you lived.
Most
right?
people, I
Right.
think,
Only
yeah.
the rich had
Yeah.
running water.
Yeah.
And so yeah, what other things did you notice when after Pearl Harbor that changed?
Well, things picked up. A lot of business, a lot of jobs, a lot of work. Then I moved to Schenectady, so everything changed. I had a whole different
To
life.
get GE. And the GE job you got probably because of the war too?
Yeah, I'm sure.
GE kicked in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
From $10 a week, I was making 100.
when did you? Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
10 times. And what was that like for you?
I didn't know what to do with it.
Did you save it? Did
Well,
you spend
I
it?
didn't save it, I don't think. I used to go up to Boston Spa and get my little sister Bridget or somebody and bring them to Schenectady and buy them toys.
So you were the big
Tell them to pick out
success,
whatever you wanted.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you and okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you gave toys to the family.
Yeah.
And were you making more than your father then?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sure.
And
Sure.
and what was that like? Did he care? Did he
Well,
ask for money?
I never, no, if he needed money, I would give it to him, but I don't think he ever asked me. He was kind of independent, and he was making enough to live, and probably Helen was working, and she wasn't married, so Helen would have to pay room and board. I paid room and board when I worked. Maybe I gave him money even after I left the house, I might have given him money. Because if he needed it, I would have given it to him, I know that for sure. And maybe I did it automatically, I can't remember. I know Helen was paying room and board, and I went to work, she was paying room and board. And Charlotte, I don't think she'd started working yet, but when they went to work, they had to start paying their $5 a week.
Uh-huh.
The room and board.
And what was Schenectady like then in
Boomtown.
1940? Right.
Oh yeah, big boom town. It was
It was the
everything
big
lit.
city to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had 3 jobs. When I went to Schenectady, I'd get so bored that I got a job in. Let me just think. First, I worked in the 5 and 10 cent store
Which one?
downtown, past Passery Boulevard. There used to be I don't know if it was a. It wasn't Woolworths. It was another one of the other ones. There was 2 drugs. No, not Kresge's. I don't know. I don't know what the name of it was. It might have been a Kresge. Well, anyway, I worked in that drugstore on the candy department of all places, and I worked there, I think 3 hours a day, and then I'd go home and go to bed because I worked 3rd shift in GE, and then I'd sleep all day. Then I'd get up and I'd go to the White Tower, and I got a job there, working from.
What was
I
White
think
Tower?
White Tower was like a what do you call these fast food? McDonald's.
That's not the White Castle. That was on the corner of State and not.
Well, they called it that, but it was White Tower originally. That was the
okay.
White Tower.
So
It was
that
probably
place
the
on
only
the
one
corner,
left in the
right?
city. Yeah.
Okay.
So I worked there one day. I didn't like the manager. I didn't like anybody. I worked
They had
on
the little burgers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I worked for them. I worked for the one on Erie Boulevard. They had a nice manager, and I let's see who it is. My name. SunTrust Banks.
No, I don't need that.
Don't answer it.
Not
I don't
really.
think it's mine. Do you think?
It's not worth answering now.
I think it would be Walrus with the other. I don't have that much money in the bank. Anyway, so I worked there till 11, and then I'd go to work. I'd get a ride to work. My boss would pick me up because he used to come there to eat, or across the street, the Silver Diner, to eat. And he introduced me to my husband. And then my husband started sitting there every night. Then I
Your
got
boss did from where?
from the GE.
Your
Boss introduced me to my husband. Well, he used to give me a ride to work.
How did he know your, grandpa?
They lived on the same street,
And what street was that?
Barrett Street, where my in-laws lived. And
Where you moved when you got married?
Yeah. and so he introduced me to my husband, and then my husband would come there and sit from 7 to 11 at night on the White Tower, maybe a nervous wreck, watching everything I did.
Well, did your boss introduce you to Grandpa because he thought
I didn't have a
he was
boyfriend.
trying to set you up?
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah. And I went with him a month and got married.
And what do you remember what you thought when you first met Grandpa?
Oh, I thought he was good looking. And I didn't have a boyfriend then. And I was mad at the one in the service that
Was he
going to give me a
charming?
month to reform. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He said, I want to marry you. I said, I can't marry you. I don't even know you. He said, well, I'm going to take you up to your father and mother's. You can tell them you're going to get married. I thought, you think they care? Well, first of all, they think if I'm marrying an Italian, they'd kill me.
Why?
Oh, they don't. My father thought, because the people across the street had bugs in their hair.
The
And
Italians
and
across the street,
Italians, naturally, poor Italians. So because we all had mops of hair, my sister Charlotte and me especially, well even Anna, we had mops of hair. We'd get bugs. And my poor mother would have to do the kerosene at night and the vinegar in the morning to get rid of the bugs and comb our hair with the fine comb.
And did that work?
Get the nits out, I guess so.
And did the kerosene burn?
Yeah, damn right it did, and so did the vinegar in the morning. And do that before you go to school, and then you got sleeping on the pillow from the night before, you might have got a leg here and an egg there. My father said, you'd stop playing with those giddy wops. You wouldn't have bugs in your hair. Oh, he was a nutbag, I'll tell you. So anyway, that was that. Now, why did I tell you that?
So it was a step down to be dating an Italian at that time.
For him, I didn't care. My friends were Italian. A lot of friends I had were Italian. But I saw he drove me to Boston Spawn. I wasn't going to bring him in the house. It was one shambles, especially after all of us kids left. My father piled and piled and piled and piled and piled the stuff.
Oh, really?
You couldn't walk around.
Wow.
And you couldn't touch anything because if you did, he'd swear to God you were stealing it or something.
I mean, really bad, like...
Awful. I can't even tell you how bad it was. But I blame my sisters too because they all lived in Boston.
Like Doris's place, or?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So
yeah.
completely
And
with stuff that
no
he
place
didn't
to walk.
even care
You had a
about.
line to walk through.
Right.
I used to go up once in a while. I have a car, so it was hard for me to go up there. But when I did get up there, I would say something to him. But you could talk to the wall. And my poor mother would be sitting there rocking away. She got diabetes, and he was mean to her after everybody left. But my sisters knew it, and they didn't do anything about it. I'd have smacked him if I was up there.
How old was your father and mother when they adopted you, or?
Well, my mother was about 7 years older than my father. So they got married. My mother was 27, he was 20, and they had 3 kids before me. So say 4 years, we'll say, maybe 5 years. So maybe my father was 25.
And your mother was
Would have
32.
been 32, 25 and 7, yeah, 32.
Huh. That was pretty late, wasn't it, for marrying? Marrying at that, at
Well,
27,
no, they were
for
married. No,
instance?
they got married. My father was 20 when he married my mother. She was 27.
But isn't that late for a woman?
To have kids then?
Sure, yeah, sure. Well, no, not to have kids, but just to start a family. At 27, no?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I thought because she was athletic, but after she got me, she got kids.
And how often did you see her? What was her epilepsy? What form did it take?
She'd go into a frenzy. Like I remember one time she was holding my sister Anna, and I got the baby away from her. But it just happened. I think my father was mean, and I think it may upset her a lot.
Stress.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was caused by that.
And did she take
She didn't
medicine?
have a lot. She probably did. I didn't know about it, but I can remember him hitting me once because he said, "Who made you nervous?" He come home from work, and "Who made you nervous?" And she said, she told him I did. But it was my sister Helen that did. Well, my sister Helen, they called her Honey. But I understood that. I mean,
why?
Because it was her baby. I mean, she had her.
Oh, okay.
And she lived.
Uh-huh.
Everything was Honey. She called her Honey all her life.
Uh-huh.
That's the one that's dying now, the poor thing with cancer.
Uh-huh.
And I understood that. I didn't care if she didn't treat me bad, though, even though she never treated me bad.
And how often did she have those attacks? Do you remember?
I only can remember 3 or 4 times. I'm sure she had more.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if she didn't die living with my father. I mean, he would aggravate anybody. But my sister said that she used to start it sometimes. She would say something to him, and I don't know what, because I never heard it. I never heard her start, or at least maybe if it did, maybe it's blocked so far in my mind that I'll never remember it.
Yeah.
Because I really don't remember it.
And so what was it that Grandpa loved about you so much? Or, did he tell you what it was, why he immediately wanted to marry you? And
I don't know. I don't know. I thought he was nuts. I thought, I'm not a freak. I don't know if I want to do this. Mm-hmm. So he brought me to the house, introduced me, and I told his cousin she couldn't be there because she had a bad mouth and she used to swear. Mm-hmm. So she said, I won't swear. I'll behave myself, Antoinette. So I get there, and guess what? I knew Antoinette. I used to work with her in the glove mill. She used to come up from Schenectady to Boston Spa. We worked together in
So
the glove
you
mill.
knew his cousin before you knew him.
Yeah, long before. She went, you son of a bitch. She says, what do you mean I don't want to swear first? Oh, God. I said, Antoinette, please. Because we used to go out some nights. We'd go out in the noon, like I told you, ride with that girl.
You and Antoinette would go
Antoinette
out?
would go, yeah, we'd go in the car with Viola's trainees,
Right.
Violet trainees, and pay her 10 cents, and she'd ride us around Boston Spa with all the doors locked because the enemy's coming. I said, you jerk, I used to go to her. Oh, God.
And so you were beautiful. You know, I mean, your pictures, I mean, that, when he, you were above average, looks-wise.
Well,
Right, too?
yeah, I guess, I don't
Oh, come on.
I never had a problem having a boyfriend.
Okay, so
But,
and so you were a beautiful woman to him, and was marriage something that he, why did people get married? Why did you get married, do you think, and why did he get married? To start a family because everybody did it, because he wanted to get out of the house, or you wanted to get out of the house, or
I don't know why I did it. Well, I mean,
when you were
I
young.
was sleeping that day. Betty came and got me, and Betty, I wasn't sure I was going to get up.
You mean for your marriage or for your wedding?
Yeah, because I only got married in front of the judge, and Handsome Sal was our best man.
Handsome Sal.
Suds Gardino, Garth's brother. He was our best man, and my friend said, I worked with in GE, she said, Betty, don't hang him on none of those people. She said, tell me where the guy lives you go with, and I'll tell you who he is. She said, I know all them guineas down there. So I told her, she said, oh, he's okay. I said, oh, good. She said, you got to watch out for that Sal Gardino. And that was Suds. I said, well, he seems all right to me. She said, you don't know him. I said, well, I'm not marrying him. But he was our best man.
And what was
And Aunt Betty.
what was to worry
He'd been
about
in prison.
him?
He'd been in
Okay.
prison for killing somebody.
Was that mafia related stuff, or just a,
No, just he was back in those days. They were tough guys way back then. Suds was older.
When you were younger, did you dream how you wanted to get married, or do you remember thinking, oh, I can't wait to get married, or were you just indifferent
I don't know.
about
I really don't ever. I don't know.
Did you like dating?
Oh yeah, I'd love to have. I used to have one boyfriend, the greatest guy, Earl Wolf, the greatest guy in the world. The one who caught me in a movie with somebody. He was, and I don't think I trusted men. I don't know. I don't know if maybe I didn't trust them. I don't know. I don't know if I wanted to get married, because I can't remember really wanting to get married.
Do you remember why you decided? So Grandpa said, I want to get married.
Yeah, I thought, Rod, I said he seemed like a nice guy. I don't know what the hell I was thinking about. Maybe I thought I was getting old. I was 22, right?
And what did you think when you thought of getting married? Do you remember what your expectations were of marriage?
I had a lot of them. They went out the window a couple of days after I got married.
What were your expectations?
Well, my husband go to work, and I'd stay home and try to have a kid, because I was getting older. In those days, you had, I had a job in GE, so I thought, well, I can quit my job, because I worked about a month. I thought, I'm going to quit my job and stay home, because that way I'm going to get a house and have furniture and all that stuff, I quit my job like a jerk. And guess what? He didn't have a job either.
Well, wait a second. You knew that, though.
I didn't know anything about it. I never heard of gambling. I heard
You
gamblers
didn't
were
ask
crooks.
him what his job was?
He worked in a locomotive when they called him.
Oh, okay.
He told me he was bad, though. He said, I've been arrested. I've been...
What was he arrested for?
Robbing garages when he was a kid. Not robbing the garage so much as robbing the copper or the tin or the metal he could sell to the junk man, so he could shoot crap in the crap game, then he'd have some money. And he'd bring it home to his mother and father. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy.
And had he always gambled?
Yeah, when he was about 8, he told me he used to shoot crap on the corner, and he'd win, and they wanted to kill him. They'd like, get that little bastard out of here. Don't let him play anymore. But I didn't know about gambling. I didn't realize the extent of it, because in Boston Spa, I remember once there was a place that used to sell candy, and I'd go in there and buy candy, 5 for a penny. You'd get 5 green leaves for a penny or something like that. And if I had money, I'd go in there and buy candy. And I remember once all the men come out like this. I thought they said they're going to prison. They're gamblers. That's all I knew about gambling. Never heard of gambling in my life. So you know, then he started going out. He'd say, "Well, I got to go somewhere, and I'll be back later." Then he wouldn't come back. All night he'd be gone, and I'd go to his mother's house and crying, and I'd say, "I don't know where he is. I don't know what to do." You know, she said, "Yeah."
Did you think he was cheating on you or anything?
I don't
like
even
that?
know what I thought. To tell you the truth, I don't think I thought he was cheating. I don't know. I don't know what I thought. And I was crying. I said, "I don't know where my husband is." She said, "He's playing." I said, "Playing what?" I go,
So you married him and you had no idea
No
he was a
clue.
compulsive gambler.
He said he gambled, but I didn't know what the hell. I thought maybe, I didn't even know. Maybe he played a number. I didn't have any idea that he stayed out day and night or weeks at a time.
So playing numbers, though, that was common. That was
Well,
everybody
I would
did-
play. Well, not see. I didn't know about everybody. I only knew about myself, and I would play because the girl that I worked with would take me to play a number with the guy in the bar. She'd say, "Let's go in there. We're going to play a number." I go, "Well, I'll play something." I don't know what the hell. I mean, if I won, it'd be good. I might have won, and they never paid me for all I knew.
Right.
That's how much I knew about gambling.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really understand it. And then there was no. Then he had no job. And then about 3 months after I was married, I got pregnant. And that was a nightmare. I mean, so then we had to move in with the in-laws.
Did you feel in love with Grandpa? You know, I mean, do you remember it being
Yeah.
passionate? You know, was it different than it would have been, you know, with Earl or that other guy? Did you?
I think I cared a lot. Yeah, because I got hurt easy, so I think I cared a lot about him, you know. Because if I didn't, I probably would have left. Probably would have just got out before I got pregnant. But I didn't.
So it was important that there was
Yeah.
a passion and intimacy. and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. But
And did you talk much, you and him?
well, by the time I'd get to dinner, no, he was never home. Once I get the dinner, put it on the table. By the time I got to sit down and eat my dinner, after I put his dinner on the table, he was all done and ready to go out the door.
So he he made no attempt to be a family man. at
No,
all.
none whatsoever.
From the very beginning, he
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
And so, did you ever wonder why he married you? You know, I mean, why he?
Well, I was shocked because my father never left the house. If my father went out on Sunday, the whole family went with him. I never knew that kind of life. Never knew it. So I don't understand. I didn't understand it. And then I got friendly with his sister, Betty. I didn't know her at all from Adam, and you know she's not going to say anything against her brother. Antoinette, I didn't see that often because I had no car. And then I got pregnant. Then it was even worse because I cried the whole pregnancy.
Because he was gone.
Oh yeah, because we didn't have a place to live. I had to live with them. I didn't like sleeping in the back room. I didn't have a life. But then I began to make friends. You know, some of the people would come to the house. I got friendly with some of them, and then I don't know what I did. Maybe I got a job cleaning then. I don't even remember cleaning for somebody where I had a few dollars. But the in-laws fed me, but I didn't like that. See, I didn't like being taken care of by somebody. I didn't. And you know, when you're in somebody else's house, you can't voice your opinion.
So,
But my father-in-law was very good to me. He knew my husband was wrong, and
what was his name?
Gabriel. He was very good. And my mother-in-law was too, but the lady was so sick.
So when you moved, when you got married, you moved into Grandpa's family house.
After I left the apartment that we had that didn't last,
Oh, this is Fiona. Do we need to get
I don't
her?
answer it because she's gone. No,
and
we had an apartment on Park Place, and my friend lived
That
there.
was the first house.
That was the first apartment, yeah.
And
three-room
you two bought that together?
No, rented it together.
Okay, rented it.
Yeah. I don't know who rented it. Maybe he did, because I didn't know much about Schenectady. I lived down on College Street when I lived in
And
a
what was the
girl's
address
place.
of that place?
On Park Place?
Yeah.
238. Up in the middle of the block.
And so who was on his side of the family then? That you had contact with?
Well,
His father gave.
yeah, but in the house was only, Betty only lived home, and then we lived there too. Everybody else was married. Jake used to come around, then I got to meet Dominic, and I got to meet Augie, but I wasn't that close with him until after I moved there, then a little bit by little bit by little bit. Jake and his wife never came around. Jake would come in more. I didn't know his wife too much, and I didn't
Come
like
into
her.
your house?
At their house on Park, Nicola's on Barrett Street.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what was the address of that?
1116.
Barrett Street. And that house is gone now?
Yeah, they tore it down to make my husband sold it to Pharaoh's for parking.
Oh, okay, so that was Farrah's.
Yeah,
parking.
that was when we moved on Park Place and that behind the barber shop. Well, that's the reason we moved there, was he sold that house, Barrett Street.
Why do you think Grandpa married you? If, was it just so that he had somebody to make food
Well,
for
he was
him? And
he was
just wanted to, wanted some
well,
kids?
I think he wanted to get a life. I think he meant well.
Uh-huh.
He was not a bad person. He was a very,
He was trying to be normal.
Yeah, yeah. But, and he'd gamble all his life from when he was a little kid. I mean, he's 7, 8 years old. He was on the street shooting crap in the morning. If Sunday mornings, whenever they have the crap game, he was out there. So he didn't, and they didn't have money, very, very poor. My father-in-law worked at a locomotive, but I don't know how much money he made. And Josie said he took it and brought it to Diniuch, so who knows?
Who's Diniuch?
They owned the bar down where the luncheonette is. There used to be a bar there, Diniuch's bar. Antonazio owned it.
You mean the place that's the gay bar now, or is that what you're talking about? Isn't there?
No, the restaurant, the luncheonette.
Oh, okay.
That was a bar before.
Oh, it was, okay.
Shammy's father owned that bar. And then all men used to all go in there and play cheech or whatever they
Who's
played.
Shammy?
Shammy owns a Shamrock. He's Shammy Antonazio. He owns a Shamrock on, his lady friend did, on Clinton Street.
What's the Shamrock?
It's a bar, another bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Shamrock.
Yeah.
They called him Shammy.
Well, that's not. They called him
Irish?
Shammy long before. Oh no, his name was Shammy long before.
Oh, okay.
He hooked up with a woman that owned the Shamrock
Oh, okay.
after, but Shammy was his. I don't know why they called him Shammy. I don't know what the hell his real name was, to be honest with you.
And did you, at least with the people that you knew, did you start seeing men going to war? How did the men that you know relate to joining the military?
The only men I knew that went to war were the guys I dated. I didn't know about anybody else. Nobody in my family went. And I didn't know the ones that they knew that went, but I knew about when they came back. The guys I went out with went. Like Earl went, Harvey went.
Those were more farm
They were both
kind of type
farmers, yeah.
people?
One was from Easton and one was from West Milton, or whatever. And maybe a couple of others that I don't really remember offhand, but might have gone. But I didn't know anybody in Schenectady that had gone in the service. Anybody that my husband's friends, a lot of them around. The Panic Boy died. Eddie, and one of the Riggies died. I met them after. They lost a son.
But most of Grandpa's gambling and mafia friends,
Yeah.
none of those guys went. Is that right? Or
No, I don't think. I know none of the DeCocos went. I don't know who. See, he hooked up with the DeCocos long after. Well, not that long after
you said
after
you
we
knew
got
Jake.
married. Yeah, I was going to say it's not that long after, but.
And do you know how those men didn't go? What
Well,
excuse
my
they
husband
used,
wanted
or-
to go. He went. He didn't tell him he had diabetes. He figured he could get through and they'd take him, but
Was this before or after you were married?
Before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so he
Somebody
couldn't go
else went
because-
that he knew, and he
Is
went
that how
down
he
with-
found out? How did
No, he was in jail. He for robbing the garages for looking for.
when they found out he had diabetes?
Yeah, he got up one night and he was in Cooksaki in the reformatory, not prison, because they said he was a juvenile delinquent.
Mm-hmm.
And his father said, lock him up. And Enos's husband, the other one, 3 of them got in trouble. Freddie Parvarni ratted on everybody. Kelly and my husband went to jail and Freddie walked free.
And how old was Grandpa?
My husband was probably 16 at the time. Kelly was probably 15. And Kelly's father had him sent away. I don't think the judge did. I think Kelly's father had him sent away because he was bad. And my husband, because the judge did it. Because he didn't go to school. And whatever, he was like truant.
And where did Grandpa then serve?
Coxsackie. It was a
That's
reformatory.
this boys type
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
And so that's how we found out he had
Yeah,
diabetes?
yeah. One night, well, he started going to the bathroom, and then the guards get mad sometimes, and he'd say to the guard, he said, I hate to keep bothering you, but I gotta go. And he keep going. The guy said, well, you gotta get checked. He says, something wrong here. So that's when they checked him, and he had diabetes. So they kept him maybe another few months, and they let him come out. And he had to be on parole. I think he had more time to go on parole, and we got married. He didn't ask his parole officer, and the guy used to come to the house. But the guy said, he
Wait,
asked
come
me,
to your house?
Yeah, I was
Wait, he
scared.
was on parole still?
Yeah, I didn't know. Well, I didn't. He may have told me he was on parole, but I didn't think nothing of it because he was such a good guy. You wouldn't think, you know what I mean? So the guy came to the house because they would come around and check on you. You wouldn't go to them; they'd come to you. And he came and he talked to me, and I never told him he stayed out all night or anything like that. Once I knew who he was, then he left, and he said, "Well, you shouldn't have got married without asking. You're supposed to get permission." But being everything was okay, he let him go, and about 3 months later, he took him off. He was done parole, so that was good, Mr. Scully. But they did let him out though, because mainly because of the diabetes, you know, because I guess they didn't want to have to take care of it there.
And so you had Mom, and what was life like with a baby? How was the birth?
It was horrible.
What was bad about it?
Well, I couldn't have. My lady came to say she was my aunt. I don't know who she really belonged to. She said she was my aunt. She said I'd find out someday if I looked at the Bible that was in Texas. I don't know how I was going to get there. That I'd find out who my mother was. Another lady that knew. Friend of my father's, Anna Hickok. So she used to come to the house and make me walk before, you know, when I was near the end of my time. She said, "Oh, you got to start walking. You got to get your body ready so you can have the baby. You won't have so much pain." So she'd walk me and walk me and walk me and walk me.
Was the whole term tough?
I was getting near, oh yeah. No, the whole term wasn't. I was sick in the beginning and then I was fine, but I gained a lot of weight. And I went in on Friday and didn't have her till Sunday night. They had to call a specialist in to deliver her.
Really?
And because she was crossways or something. And
do you remember it being horribly painful?
well, they knocked me out, but they cut me. Never got over that.
So they knocked you out?
I was out
completely?
when she was born. I was out, but that must have been right at that minute. You know, they must have
But
just
it
given
wasn't
me
a cesarean, right?
No.
Right.
I got a cut down there, and that's sore.
Right.
And then I only had her home. She vomited everything she'd eat. I was trying to breastfeed her, she'd vomit. Try to give her anything, she'd vomit. Take her to the doctor. One doctor told me I didn't know how to take care of her. That bastard. Went to another doctor. Another doctor said change the formula. I went to another doctor, change
And
the formula.
it was all formula.
All formula.
Why not breastfeeding?
Well, I was breastfeeding, but they said it wasn't enough to give her more. But I had things like this, like her used to have.
Yeah.
So I had to stop doing that because I couldn't do it. She was vomiting it up. There was no sense of doing it.
So they thought formula might be better.
Formula might be better. So I did that and everything. She only gave her a tiny little bit at a time. I mean, it was horrible. My father-in-law even got the witch lady to come and clean the house because they said the witches are going to do something to her.
Wait, who was the witch lady?
Miss Carmela Buemi's mother came to visit. They made me bring my kid in the back room. They didn't want me in the same room with her, but they said maybe she put a spell. So my father-in-law had another lady come and do all the cellar with all stuff.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who did they think might have put a spell?
The witch lady might have put a spell on me or
Why?
the baby. Well, they call the evil eye. What do you call
What do you mean?
evil eye? My father-in-law believed in that. Oh, he believed it
These were Italian?
My husband slept with a scissor under the pillow when Suzanne was sick.
Really?
And I said, if you wake up and I move, you might think I'm the witch. Get the freaking scissor out of the bed. Yeah, we slept in that back room.
So a witch may have given the evil eye
on
to
Suzanne.
and so was there a witch around?
I've never seen no witches. Well,
Okay, so they thought just a random witch.
Well, a witch, they believe in witches. You go to church, you put a broom behind. Don't go to church on Christmas Eve unless you put a broom behind the door or some other stuff. I don't know.
All right, so they brought another witch over, a good witch, or
a good witch, yeah, a good one to clean out the house and do stuff.
Do you remember what she did?
She sprinkled stuff all over. I don't know what the hell she did, but sprinkled something, maybe salt, maybe oil, because they could do something with oil to get rid of your headache.
Did she look normal? Did she
oh
look
yeah, it was
like
my
a
husband's
gypsy?
godmother. No, she was my
okay.
husband's godmother.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that woman's name, dude?
Yeah, I do know her name. Let me just think. She was the nicest lady. Dorothy was her mother, her daughter, Dorothy DeLuca, Luca, Lucca, and the mother's name was Cecilia. And she was, that's my husband's godparents, her husband and her. And she came, and because she had an omen, she said she heard in her head, she seen something that they did that. The witches came, you know, the Mrs. Buemi and whatever. Well, they belong to the Holy Roller Church, but the Buemi, so right away they call them witches. I don't know. I didn't believe in any of that stuff.
Right.
So, and after about 4 doctors, I went back to the doctor that delivered her.
So meanwhile, my mother's probably losing weight.
She was losing, she weighed 7.5 pounds when she was born, and she was down to almost 5 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So I went back to the doctor where I had her, and he said...
And where did you have her?
Dr. Rinaldi, where Pasquale lives now. That's where the house is. That's the house. But I was so funny.
You had the baby at a house?
Oh, no. That was my doctor. I had her in Ellis Hospital.
Ellis Hospital. Okay.
He said, I'm going to send you to a different specialist. You take her to Dr. York, and I'll talk to him. And he called, and I took her to Dr. York, and Dr. York said, I know what's wrong. And he said, we're going to have to do surgery. And I thought, oh, God, another wacko. Who's going to do surgery on a little baby? She'll die.
Yeah.
So I brought her to the doctor that helped deliver her, because he had to come and cut me to have her get out.
Right.
That doctor operated. And my husband, I have to say, stayed in the hospital all the time. And...
what was wrong?
Pyloric stenosis. The bottom of her stomach was closed.
Pyloric
stenosis. In other words, going into her, from her stomach to her bowel or colon.
Was closed.
Was closed, so everything she ate, she'd spit it up.
How long after she was born did she have this surgery?
No more, I don't think no more than a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because she never could eat.
She didn't eat for a month.
I was in the hospital 2 weeks after she was born, and that didn't happen, I don't think, in the hospital, because I was breastfeeding her in the hospital. But it must have been something that showed up after.
Maybe
I don't know.
Closed.
Yeah, because she was down to 5 pounds when they operated. And then some lady in the hospital breastfed her. In those days, you couldn't go in and see your baby. You had to stand outside, so I'd go there and tap on the window. It was like she knew, so she wouldn't cry. Oh, I used to cry. My God, it was awful.
Cry
awful.
about what?
Well, seeing her there, so pathetic little thing, my God in heaven.
And she was in there for 2 weeks, you're saying, because something was wrong?
She was in the hospital after surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those days they kept you. I was there 2 weeks having her.
Right.
I mean, they didn't do that. They had transfusions and all kinds of bullshit.
And so that was a successful surgery?
Yeah, yeah. He said by the time she's 12, you'll never know she had surgery.
Okay.
I didn't. She blossomed right out. She's been on a diet since.
And from that point, she was normal?
She was
Everything
okay,
was
yeah.
fine? She
Yeah.
ate? And did you breastfeed her then? Or
Not after that, no.
So
Some lady in the hospital had a baby, and she was giving her some breast milk in the beginning, because I couldn't. I was already dried up. They gave me stuff to dry me up.
Yeah. Why?
Well, I don't know. Probably because my milk wasn't any good. It might have been like water.
Was it was a formula the way to go back then? Do you remember?
Well, I wanted to breastfeed, but sometimes if you... See, maybe I wasn't the healthiest person in the world. I only weighed 119 pounds, and I probably wasn't that healthy.
That was skinny?
Yeah, 119 was damn skinny when you're 5'7".
All right. Okay.
I wore a size 7
Yeah.
from 18 or 20. I think I might not have been healthy enough, and then I had to have transfusions when I had her. So all that in consideration, I guess my milk just wasn't good, even though I had tons of it. I mean, you know, I'd wake up and my bed would be wet past my knees, down to my knees from it leaking out.
Oh,
But
really?
it was like not good milk.
Right. And after Mom was born, did Grandpa, did anything change about family life at all?
No.
He was absent?
Well, after a while, we got an apartment down on. I wanted to go to work. I had to go to work because he wasn't working, so I'd leave her with my mother-in-law or Betty, ever who was going to be home.
You'd leave who? Her.
Suzanne.
Right.
And
So
then
you had to work.
yeah.
So let me ask you this: did you ever think, you know, I mean, weren't you angry, and didn't it seem like
Yeah, I was going to
marriage
leave
was a
him.
mistake?
He said I could leave, but I couldn't take the baby.
Uh-huh.
You can't take my baby, and I said, prove she's yours. Whew. I thought he was going to clobber me.
So you were really, really, really mad at him.
Well, yeah, I was hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you take advantage of somebody like that?
Yeah.
So, and then I said, I'm moving out. I'm getting an apartment because, you know, it was hard living there with Betty, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. Not that they were bad people, they weren't, but I wanted to be my own little place.
Yeah.
So I got a place on Barrett Street, way down near State, 119 Barrett, from Jim, the hell was his name, Gallagher. He was an old bachelor, and he had 3-room apartment in the back, and it was, I don't know how much a month, maybe $50, maybe $30, $40, I don't know. And I got a job waitressing.
So you did. So you separated from Grandpa.
No, he came with me,
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah,
so
he
you
came
both
with
moved out.
and
But you
and he would
threatened
watch the baby.
to leave him.
Yeah, I did. But he said I could go, but I couldn't take the baby. But then he would stay home while I worked, and then he'd go out when I got home.
Right.
And one time I come home and poor Suzanne pooped her pants, and he goes, "I can't change her."
Did he not change her? He,
No, but he said she just did it, but he couldn't do it. I said, "Oh, that was all right." So I didn't, you know what? Because he wasn't a bad person, even though he had that bad habit. He was not bad. You know, he didn't talk bad. He wasn't that way unless I argued with him.
Right.
In fact, the landlord one day said, "Betty, I got to ask you a question." He said, "You've been here about a year now, and I want to ask you something. Is there any goddamn reason why every time you get your period, you're going to have a fight with your husband?" I went, "Oh." Must have been I would be hyper around that time, and then I'd get on his back about not working.
Right.
And he didn't have, then he got a job, construction, building St. Clair's Hospital. And he worked up there quite a while, and that was good. And then he got another, after that, when that ended, he got a job down the GE in construction outside.
And so
But see, he
those-
couldn't do a lot of stuff because if he worked too hard, he'd get an insulin reaction. You know, that was kind of scary too.
And he was always so he was taking insulin from the time he was 16.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah.
And so, had he not gotten those jobs, do you think you would have left him? Or, you know, I mean, was it the jobs that kind of said,
I probably kept
"Okay,
working because I
now
had a
it's over."
babysitter. He would have watched the baby, so I would have probably kept working. I would have, you know, I didn't. See, because I didn't hate him,
Right.
but I'd get mad at him. But I like I knew my baby was in good hands. Well, a lot of times I had to board her out though. When he wouldn't watch her, there was times when he wouldn't watch her, I used to board her out, and then I'd take a bus to see her in the afternoon, and then take the bus back downtown to go to work at night.
And so the only time he wouldn't do something is when it conflicted with gambling.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he was a free man.
Yeah,
He
he'd be, you know,
he was
if it
willing to help,
Yeah,
unless it conflicted with gambling.
yes, that's number one priority. Yeah.
And did you just accept that as normal back then? You know, that this is, you know, marriage is tough and people have to compromise, or did you know that things were
you know,
broken, you know, kind of in the family?
Yeah, I don't even think when I think back, I don't think I even gave it a thought anymore. I just thought it was a way of life, and I was going to keep working.
So you accepted it, and
Yeah, and then we moved back to our in-laws. The people moved out upstairs, and we moved upstairs there. And then I got pregnant for Gabby. I wanted to have another baby. And I don't think he wanted me to have another baby. And I said, well, I want to have another baby. He probably was back at Locomotive working.
Why did you
So I
want to have another one?
Well, I just didn't want to have Suzanne alone. I
Right,
just
you wanted
figured, yeah.
Time to have.
So, and I think he was back at Locomotive. Things were going good. He was working, and
And was there birth control then, or did?
yeah, there was, yeah. But I did want to have a baby, so I got pregnant, and then I don't know what happened. He got laid off, and then I got a job. Oh, I got a job in the friggin' laundry down the street, because in those days you couldn't work in a restaurant if you were big. If you were pregnant, you couldn't work
Okay.
if you had a big belly like you can now.
Right.
Now you could have the baby on the floor almost. So I got a job in the friggin' laundry, and the 2 days or 3 days, maybe a week after I got in there, he hit the number. So he said, "You're quitting your job, you're staying home." And I thought, yeah, the money won't last more than 5 days.
Do you
It was
remember how much he won?
Probably 20,000 or so.
Whoa.
But it wouldn't last. I mean,
20,000 in what, the late 40s?
well,
or-
maybe 10,000, whatever it wasn't like money you're going to live on for a long time, because he'd take it out the next day and lose it.
Right.
Look at the time he won 24,000. We didn't have it
When was that?
a week after he was go broke.
When was that?
When he wanted to play 649, the friggin' number that I can't hit down here. I've tried since
So
I've
you
been here.
still played the
I
number that he
played-
hit.
I
And
hit
what's
that.
649?
That's the number he won all that money
But
on.
what?
Some old
what's-
coffee lady said, "Paolo on J Street." She said, Paolo, you gotta play, you gotta play. I dreamt of you last night. I'm telling you, Paolo, you gotta play. And it was late. So he went back to the luncheon and he goes, "Hey, the coffee lady gave me this number. I got to play it. I don't know what to do. Who's going to take it?" Jake said, "Well, I'll take some, because but I'm taking a lot of money." So maybe Jake took $10. They got somebody else to take. Altogether, he had 20, I think. Well, I'm trying to think of how much he got 24,000. So I'm trying to think of how much he played on it. I'm going to say $40, but I'm not sure. But that's all he could play. Nobody else would take any money. And he said, "I know 649's coming out tonight."
And?
The coffee lady did. And it came out.
And it came out.
Yeah.
And
And he got $24,000.
what year was that about?
Well, let me just think of where I was living.
Was that the biggest family score?
That's the biggest one, yeah. I don't know where. I think Barrett Street probably. No, I don't know. No, I don't think Barrett Street. No, South Avenue.
So
But I had that
was
big
born?
house.
Gabe-
Oh yeah. Gabby was born 3 years after your mother.
So was it the 50s then? I'm
When
sorry.
Gabby was born?
No,
Gab-
when did this number?
Yeah,
come
probably
out?
in the 50s. Let me just think. 50s. I lived at Lou's place for. I moved to Lou's place when Pasquale was about a year old.
So 60.
Yeah, probably 60s
60, 61.
or maybe the 70s. Wait a minute, my husband had an accident in '68. Probably around the 70s, sometime in the beginning there when I lived on 700 South Avenue. I think that's where he hit that number.
And did you guys ever work out some, did gambling become a part family income? If he would hit a number, would you say, "You've got to give me,
No, he'd pay
this
all the
amount?"
bills. He'd pay all the bills, and that
Okay.
would be the end of it.
Uh-huh.
And if
And
he'd
he
give me
wouldn't-
$1,000, I'd have to run and spend it because he'd be back that night looking for it.
Uh-oh, really?
So I learned my lesson. I used to make your mother hide stuff down the front of her, sit her outside on the porch and say, "Don't tell, don't tell." So that's why she's like she is, I swear. Don't tell, just don't tell. Dad asks you, just say, "You don't know." Don't just keep saying, "I don't know, Dad. I don't know, Dad. I don't know, Dad."
So
Keep
it
saying
was
it.
always this balance of hiding money.
Well, you had to.
Yeah.
I used to put it in the Kotex box, for God's sakes, figuring they wouldn't look there. I mean, it was terrible.
And that 20,000 that he hit, how quickly would that disappear?
24,000?
Yeah.
No more in a month.
Yeah.
No more, yeah. Because, see, one time he was shooting crap and he needed $2,000. He had $1,950. He wouldn't quit and pay the guy that money. He lost it. All that money trying to get a friggin' $50. I mean, $500 to pay. No, he had $1,950. He needed $50 more to have $2,000, right? He blew all that money that he owed the guy $2,000. He blew 1950. He could have given the guy the 1950. The guy probably would have been happy, but blew it all trying to get $50. Crap gamers are, you know, he had something in his head, you couldn't change him.
And so you guys always pretty much lived in that area down around Park Place
Yeah.
and
Barrett Street,
Barrett
Park
Street
Place,
and
yeah.
around the luncheonette and stuff. That
Yeah.
was where you lived most of your life, right?
Yeah.
And so Grandpa's friends, did you immediately know that those guys were involved, you know, in the mafia and stuff, or
I didn't know anything
and
about.
did you care, you know?
Well, see, I met Mary Ellen, Leggs' wife. She was a castaway too. Her mother was an alcoholic.
That's Paul
and
DeCoco Sr.'s wife.
Yeah,
Mary Ellen.
I met her when my husband would be out flitting around and I'd be waitressing. I got a job waitressing. After I had Gabby, I told him. He blew all the money again. And I said, I'm going to get a job again. I'm telling you right now. Don't ever, because he'd say quit. Every now he'd make a score, he'd want me to quit. I said, don't ever ask me to quit again because I'm working the rest of my life. Don't even think about it. And I worked the rest of my life because there was no sense in me. I couldn't depend on it. I mean, I could be rich today and poor tomorrow. I got kids to feed.
So every time you quit a job,
Yeah.
you regretted it
He'd have me
because-
quit, especially if I liked the job.
Right.
You know, so I never did it again, and I stayed on my job. I worked the rest of my life. And then he got a job, well, when he had that bad accident, but he started giving me $100 a week. He got hired back at the Locomotive again. And he always brought his pay home. He never touched his pay, didn't gamble his pay. He had these rules.
Really?
Brought home, had a $100 check he'd get me every week. That was my money. And that was fine with me.
That was
But I
fairly
still
good
wasn't
money. I mean, that was pretty good money.
Yeah,
Right?
but I still wasn't going to quit my job because who knows when that would end. The Locomotive would lay you off, take you back, lay you off, take you back.
Was it ever possible to save money? Did you ever save money?
No. And I think if I did, I used to save when I was single. When my father made you save. But once I think I started living that life, I lived just like he did. I spent it as I needed it, as I got it, I spent it.
Yeah.
Not that I ever had only once got brand new furniture, and we ordered something special, and I had to cancel it because he blew that money. And he took me to get it. My first washing machine, he won a lot of money. When we lived on Barrett Street, he brought me a washing machine because I used to wash clothes in the bathtub by hand. He brought me a washing machine, a new stove,
What
kitchen table,
What stove had you
a
used
Bengal
before?
stove, well, a Bengal
Before that?
stove. Before, I probably had some old crap stove some old stove I got from a lady on J Street. Everything I had was from Salvation Army.
Like a cast iron type thing,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, on legs. Those
On gas. It was a gas.
Wood. No,
Oh.
wait a minute. I don't know what in the hell I used in that house. Maybe coal. Might have been coal.
Really?
Yeah. And then when he won that money that time, my sister-in-law Josie got him, Dominic's wife, and she didn't let him go. Made him buy a parlor set, made him buy a bedroom set, made him buy a kitchen stove, a washing machine.
When Dominic won money?
No, my husband won money.
Wait.
She got right a hold of him and she took him out to buy the stuff for the house.
For you?
Yeah. She I didn't go, she went. Maytag washer, the best there was in those days.
It still is.
Yeah, and so I had all that stuff. Then the living room set, he let me pick that out, and it was so smoked, beautiful Duncan Fife, with little rosebuds all on the fabric. So they had to make it, so I had to wait for it to come, but they didn't have to pay till you got the stuff. Well, I had to call and say cancel it.
Oh, really?
And it just as well because I bought a junk set for $100 down at some cheap store, and my daughter spilled a bottle of ink on it, so maybe it worked out for the best.
Yeah.
So that was that story.
But all Grandpa's friends. What were those people like? Were
most
there
of
arrests
them-
every once in a while?
Yeah, but most of them were working and providing for their families. Like Mary Ellen never had to go to work. Kate never had to go to work. Some of those other people, their wives might have worked, but they didn't have to. They were doing jobs, leisure jobs or whatever it might have been. Claire Ivanelli didn't work. Antoinette didn't work. None of those people worked. And their husbands all gambled, but they didn't have they weren't an addict,
Right.
They all owned their own homes. They all had nice stuff. But I didn't even care about having nice stuff because I liked junk anyway. I
Right.
went to Salvation Army to get my stuff.
And you still do.
And I love it. I don't care. They can do whatever they want.
All right, let me change this tape. We only got one more tape left.
I mean, look at my bed I got in there. That's Doris gave me that bed. God bless her.
Oh, she did? I didn't know that.
You got to look in her house for a brass ball. She's missing one.
I know, you told me about that.
Yeah, but she said it wasn't in the corner. She had Ronnie look in the corner. I said, well, Doris, where do you think it is before I ordered them?
All right, you hanging, you hanging in there?
Yeah.
All right. Good, I'm glad to hear all this stuff. All right, so that's number one. This is number two coming out of here.